Hi. Do you know what is resource? Everything available in our environment, which can be used to satisfy our needs, provided it is technologically accessible, economically feasible, and culturally acceptable. Our resources. Here we can see a triangle that shows the interdependent relationship between nature, technology, and institution. Human beings interact with nature through technology and create institutions to accelerate their economic development. Human beings use their skill and technology to make useful products. Resources are a function of human activities. Human beings themselves are essential components of resources. Here we can see the general classification of resources. That is, natural and human resources. Natural resources are categorized into two. That is, renewable and non-renewable resources. These renewable resources are again classified into continuous and biological resources. And biological resources are again classified into natural vegetation and wildlife. Non-renewable resources are recyclable and non-recyclable. Human resources are classified into structures and institutions, and quantity and quality. Next we are moving on to an important topic. That is types of resources. Resources are classified on the basis of origin, exhaustibility, ownership, and the status of development. We can study all these one by one. The first categorization of resources are on the basis of origin. On the basis of origin we can classify resources into two. That is, biotic resources and abiotic resources. Biotic resources obtained from biosphere and have life. For example, flora, fauna, fishery, livestock, human beings, etc. And abiotic resources are the things which are composed of non-living things. Examples: rock, metals, table, chair, electrical equipments, etc. On the basis of exhaustibility, we can classify the resources into renewable resources and non-renewable resources. The resources which can be renewed or reproduced by physical, chemical, or mechanical processes are known as renewable resources. These resources can be replenished quickly. For example, solar, water energy, forest, and wildlife, etc. Non-renewable resources are the resources which cannot be renewed quickly. As you know, these resources take millions of years in their formation. For example, mineral, fossil, fuel, etc. On the basis of ownership, we can classify the resources into individual resources, community resources, national resources, and international resources. Individual resources are owned and operated by the individuals. For example, plantation, ponds, houses, pasturelands, wells, etc. Many farmers own land, which is allotted to them by the government against the payment of revenue. Community-owned resources are resources which are accessible to all the members of the community. For example, grazing ground, burial ground, village pond, park, picnic spots, playground, etc. National resources are all the resources belong to a nation. The country has legal powers to acquire even private property for public good. For example, roads and railways are being constructed on the fields of some individuals. All the minerals, water resources, forest, wildlife, Land within the political boundaries are considered as national resources. Oceanic area up to 12 nautical miles. From the coast termed as territorial water. And resources therein belong to a nation. International resources are regulated by the international institutions. The oceanic resources beyond 200 nautical miles of the exclusive economic zone belong to open ocean. And no individual country can utilize these without the concurrence of international institutions. When we are converting 200 nautical miles into kilometer, it should be 370 kilometers. Do you know that India has got the right to mine manganese nodules from the bed of Indian Ocean? The Exclusive Economic Zone, EEZ, comprises an area which extends either from the coast, or in federal systems from the seaward boundaries of the constituent states. 3 to 12 nautical miles, in most cases, to 200 nautical miles. 370 kilometers, off the coast. On the basis of the status of development, we can classify resources into 4. Potential resources, developed resources or actual resources, stock, and reserves. Potential resources are resources which are not being utilized fully. For example, the western parts of India, particularly in Rajasthan and Gujarat, have enormous potential for the development of wind and solar energy. But these have not been used properly. Developed resources means which are surveyed, and their quality and quantity have been determined for utilization. That is, these resources are fully utilized. And these depends on the technological level and the feasibility of the resources. Stock means materials in the environment which have the potential to satisfy human needs. But human beings do not have the appropriate technology to access these. For example, water is a compound of 2 main gases. That is hydrogen and oxygen. But we don't know how to make water by using these inflammable gases. So that is considered as a stock. Reserves are the subset of stock, which can be put into use with the help of existing technical know-how. But their use has not been started. That means we know how to use that. River water can be used for generating hydroelectric power. But presently it is being utilized only to a limited extent. The water in the dams, forests etc., as the reserve which can be used in the future.